Indian family, that is pretty much how it is everywhere, where you grow up in a very, very protective environment, which can sometimes lead to a little bit of suffocation also. It can just be a little too protective sometimes.
Were your family sort of like, they had favoritism towards your brother?
Yeah, like I said, in India, woman is, a girl child is seen as a liability, so naturally they aren't, a girl child isn't that celebrated for sure. If you are gonna, go your way, so there's the highway, and you can probably expect no funds and no support, which I think was legitimate, because, I think that was a fair option. I just refused to go to school, and I'm like, I can't do science. I don't want to be a doctor. And he's like, then what would you be? And I'm like, I don't know. So he's like, don't you think you should? I said, give me a year and I would find out. And he's like, I have no money to spend on these sort of hobbies of yours. And I'm like, sounds fair. I ended up sleeping on the pavements, and I didn't have food to eat. And my father would call, he's like, so did you learn your lesson? I'm like, no, you better get ready to learn yours. So it took way too long, and I think for him to learn his lesson, 10 years, he was like, okay, fine. But I think I finally made my point clear. But yes, it was just one of those ordinary struggling stories where you're, there's a string of incidences or accidents, one after the other, one worse than the other, and then you're like, am I in a bad dream, or it's just, so yeah. I find a lot of pride in being who I am, and that was the case from my childhood. Like I said, my parents saw me as someone else. They saw me as someone who was a liability, but that didn't change my understanding of my abilities and myself. And when I came to Mumbai, they saw me as this village woman who had a weird accent and weirder appearance, I guess. But I didn't see myself like that. I thought of myself a lot more than just, I am a lot more than my appearance or my age or my color or my hair. And that is how I saw myself, and it'll never change. And why would I want to hide that? I let that be there. For people, sometimes they find it too much, sometimes they like it. I mean, that's just the way I am. I think times have changed a little bit, not much. This generation isn't as bad as our generation, when I was growing up. But I'd say in India, we have a lot of work to do, and we need a lot more role models which young women can follow and parents can follow, where they have people they would like to, get inspired with their stories and their journeys. But definitely, with literacy rate going higher, with the women actively participating in the progress of the nation, working and stepping out of the houses, things have changed, and there's a lot of confidence that has come in, but we're still nowhere close to the developed nations, for sure. Place who's a successful actress and, and working in an urban India, whatever you may call it, where I'm taking my job and at my workplace is just taken as a hobby. I come across people who like, what do you need money for? And I'm like, why are you making a movie? So I can see the challenges which rest of the women must be going through, and I know of my friends who are married, and every time they get married, their husband's job is the priority. So sometimes they have to even quit their jobs just because they have to prioritize their husband's work situations and maybe problems. Just go on about it. But we first of all, as society, as people, try to single out India. That is the problem everywhere, where feminine as an emotion, feminine as a quality, it could be kindness, compassion, is seen as a weakness, where it is not. It's just not women. It is just not restricted to women, even to children, to men who tend to display these emotions. They are seen as weaker beings, you know, and that is not the fact. We need to change that mentality. We need to respect the feminine as an emotion and not transpress and crush it, but to love and to value it. And the history is witness that in the past, if anything that could conquer the darkest and the deepest corners of a human soul, that has been feminine. It has been compassion, love, and that is the only way to penetrate the darkness, light, not anger or you know, one of your very aggressive emotions. So the tendency of human beings to see feminine as a weaker emotion, that is what has to be changed. So when you see a beautiful woman and you can't acquire her, you want to destroy her. You know, so that needs to be changed. And like I said, it's just not about, it's not just a women problem, it is a problem of the world.